Hello alle! Welcome to this tutorial. My name is Hannah Rose and I am a student of German at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. Today we are going to talk about two-way prepositions, or Wechselpräpositionen auf Deutsch. I've had a difficult time with these myself since I started learning German, so I wanted to make this tutorial to shore up my own grammar knowledge and to hopefully help yours. After a brief overview of the various prepositions used in the German language, which are grouped based on what case they use, we're going to take a closer look at definitions and examples of two-way prepositions. I'll focus on examples of Wechselpräpositionen usage that might be tricky to remember. Then I'll give you some practice problems so you can see how much you've improved. I will also include other resources at the end of the video in case you want to continue learning. By the end of this video, you should have a more detailed, nuanced understanding of this grammatical concept. You should better understand the function and uses of Wechselpräpositionen in the German language, and you should be a slightly more fluent, effective communicator. Let's get started. As you may remember, there are several kinds of prepositions in German. There are accusative prepositions, dative prepositions, genitive prepositions, and two-way prepositions. Prepositions in this last category take either the dative or accusative case based on their meaning in the sentence. Today we are going to focus on Wechselpräpositionen, so let's review which prepositions are in this two-way category and what they mean. So we have an, which is at, on, or to, auf, at, to, on, or upon, hinter, behind, in, into, neben, beside, near, next to, über, about, above, across, over, unter, under, among, vor, in front of, before, or ago with time, and zwischen, between. So now we remember what the two-way prepositions are, but the real problem is figuring out when they should take the dative case and when they should take the accusative case. The main rule to keep in mind when trying to decide which case to use is location versus destination. Accusative goes with destination and dative with location. Two-way prepositions take the accusative case when they indicate a change of position, and they take the dative case when they indicate a stationary location. You can also think about two-way prepositions as answering different kinds of questions. For example, wohin is asking for a destination, so you'd use the accusative case in your answer. If the question is wo, then it's asking for a location, in which you would use the dative case. See? Not so bad. It becomes trickier when the answer to the destination location question isn't as clear. Let's look at the verb klopfen, for example, which means to knock. Knocking seems to be a relatively motionless activity. You're standing in front of your friend's door and you're not going anywhere. But in actuality, klopfen an does take the accusative case. Ich klopfe an die Tür, or I knock on the door. Think about how the door is the destination for your fist. If you're talking about the actual knocks on the door, however, you would use the dative case. For example, ich warte auf ein Klopfen an der Tür, or I'm waiting for a knock on the door. In this example, the door is the location of the knocking sound, so the dative case makes sense. Now let's look at some exceptions to the rules. When the preposition über means about, it always takes the accusative case. For example, wir sind super happy über diesen Erfolg, or we are super happy about this success. And with units of time, vor takes the dative case. Ich fuhr hier vor einer Stunde, or I drove here an hour ago. Knowing when to use which two-way preposition is inherently tied to meaning making. When you want to describe motion or direction, answering the question wohin, you use the accusative case. For example, you would say, ich gehe ins Restaurant, or I am going into the restaurant. When you want to describe sedentary objects or location, answering the question wo, then you use the dative case. For example, ich sitze im Restaurant, or I'm sitting inside the restaurant. Let's look at some more examples. Wir tanzen auf die Bühne, or we dance onto the stage. This statement implies direction, so you use the accusative. With wir tanzen auf der Bühne, or we dance on the stage, the sentence implies location, so you use the dative. Similarly, you would say ich setze mich neben den Mann in the accusative, whereas you would say neben der Bibliothek standen Häuser in the dative. And you would say ich habe einen Hund vor dem Restaurant gesehen in the dative, because you're describing the location in which you saw the dog. On the other hand, you would say ein Hund lief vor das Restaurant in the accusative, since you're describing the movement of the dog. In conclusion, remember that two-way prepositions will take either the accusative or the dative case, depending on whether you are indicating destination or location. The two-way prepositions are an, auf, hinter, in, neben, über, unter, vor, and zwischen. Here are some exercises you can try to see if you understand Wechselpräpositionen. Wir bleiben den ganzen Abend in das oder dem Museum. It's dative. Wir bleiben den ganzen Abend in dem Museum, because you are describing the location in which you stayed. Die Fußballerin stand zwischen den Tischen oder die Tische. This one is also dative. Die Fußballerin stand zwischen den Tischen, because you're saying where the soccer player is standing. Let's do one more. Ich laufe hinter das oder dem Geschäft. So this one is tricky because it can either be accusative or dative, depending on your intended meaning. If your destination is behind the store, then you use the accusative, so ich laufe hinter das Geschäft, because you are changing location. If you're running in place behind the store, then you use dative. Ich laufe hinter dem Geschäft, because you are staying in one location. That's it for exercises. I hope they helped. Here are some links to other resources about German two-way prepositions if you still have questions. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a slightly better understanding of Wechselpräpositionen now. Danke und auf Wiedersehen!